The latest on the shortstop market, Twins make an offer to Christian Vázquez, and things are heating up at the winter meetings. It's all coming up on today's episode of Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Minnesota Twins podcast. Today is Wednesday, December 7th, and I'm your gracious host, Nash Walker. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every single day on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Again, this is Nash Walker. 4 seasons writing about the Twins at twinsdaily.com, 3 seasons writing about the Twins at hosting this podcast on Locked On Twins, and my 4th off season doing so. So I've seen this. I've seen how it goes, and I'm not surprised that the Twins are one of the only teams in Major League Baseball, I believe it's to not make an addition. I believe it's not to not make an addition in free agency. I think that's what it is. And John Becker tweeted something out about there only being 4 or 5 teams who have yet to make like a free agent addition, which I think is crazy. That's wild. What's going on with the shortstop market? What's happening with the market? Where do things stand? Christian Vázquez, Twins make Christian Vázquez an offer. My thoughts on him. We actually haven't covered him yet on the show, so this is a perfect opportunity. My thoughts on Vázquez, and then guys are flying off the board. Wilson Contreras, Taijuan Walker, Jamison Tyone. Plenty remain. Plenty of talent is off the board. What does that mean for the Twins? Let's start with the shortstop market, and we got to start at the top with Carlos Correa. So Trey Turner signs that deal. Not much has happened. Really, not much has happened other than Trey Turner signing. And I think my exact prediction was Trey Turner would sign, there'd be a little bit of a lull, Aaron Judge would sign, and then Correa was going to sign shortly after Judge. Well, Judge signed this morning, and I think the expectation and the feeling was last day of the winter meetings, Carlos Correa is going to sign at some point today. He's going to make his decision today because as soon as Judge signed, that puts new teams into his market or adds urgency for teams, and I still think that's true. More teams into Correa's market. I still think that's true. So where did things stand here? We're pulling everything together. And sometimes I read too many like fake rumors, things that aren't true, and then it all cobbles together in my mind. But I'm fairly confident this is where we stand with Correa. And there's plenty we don't know, but this is what we do. The Giants are going to be interested in Carlos Correa. They've done their homework. They've met with Carlos Correa. They like Carlos Correa. Absolutely. The Twins, they like Carlos Correa too, and they've made Carlos Correa offers, and they're interested in bringing Carlos Correa back to play shortstop for them for the next 6, 8, or 10 years. The Chicago Cubs have met with Carlos Correa. The San Diego Padres are a wild card. The Padres, I didn't even consider them in this market because they're like, you got Ha-Seong Kim playing short, who was great last year defensively. Fernando Tatis Jr. is coming back. Like the last thing they would need is a shortstop, but it's AJ Preller, man. You can never count him out. Made a huge offer for Trey Turner, was interested in Aaron Judge. I have not seen, personally, any linkage from the Padres to Correa specifically, but I think the feeling is you have to incorporate them now because they have money to spend, clearly. They have the green light to spend it. Correa is one of the, lone impact additions you can make left on the free agent market, along with Bogarts and Swanson and Rodon. There's plenty. It feels like plenty. They move quickly. But I think this is the market for him. We heard today from Rosenthal the Dodgers are out. I think it's obviously a good thing for the Twins. I think the favorite for Correa is the Giants. I think the Twins are part of that next tier with maybe San Diego, maybe the Cubs. But to me, in my personal opinion, maybe I'm just like talking the way I want it to be. Maybe this is how I want it to be. But I would be surprised if he doesn't sign with either the Giants or the Twins. I would be surprised because we know the Twins, they've already made big offers. We don't know if the Cubs have. We don't really know if the Padres have. The Giants, also a question mark. But to me, the best fit for him is San Francisco outside of Minnesota. Clearly, he would fit in with the Cubs. He would fit in with the Padres. He would fit in with a lot of teams. But San Francisco involved heavily in the Judge market. They got money to spend. They got pressure. They need an impact addition. Carlos Correa has been linked to them throughout the offseason, and it's going to ramp up even more. Now, does Correa want to hit there? Does Correa want to play there? Does Correa want to be a Giant? I don't know. We'll find out, I think. I think we'll find out. But it's interesting that we're breaking from the winter meetings and Carlos Correa has not signed his contract. That's interesting. I thought it was going to happen today. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to happen today. One of a couple things could be happening, and it's just me speculating. One of a couple things could be happening. The Twins offer, the Twins offer is not enough for him right now, clearly. If the Twins offer met his demands, he would take it. That, or let's just right off the bat, if the Twins offer was enough, Correa would take it today. That's when you see free agents sign. Okay, that's good. I'll take that. Or the Twins offer is where he would like it to be, which I highly doubt. And he's hoping that these other teams will get up there too. And he's going to sign with somebody else at that number. And he's using the Twins as leverage. Or is he using the Giants, the Cubs, the Padres, and other teams as leverage against the Twins to up their offer? Scott Boras, not Correa, like his agency, to work up the price and get that thing going and get it going. The price is through the roof because the Giants are in and now the Twins have to counter and all these things happen. But what we've known from the beginning, I'll just come back, like not much has changed here. What we've known from the beginning of the Carlos Correa sweepstakes is all it takes is one team with one offer. That's all it takes. One team steps up and says, "Hey, Carlos, we'll give you 10 years, $330 million. We're going to give it to Aaron Judge. We'll give it to you instead." Carlos Correa says, "Nice. I got it. Let's roll. Let's play ball." Some free agents have left money on the table. Trey Turner left money on the table. When you factor in the income tax in California, it looks a little bit different, and you have to factor that in with Correa too. Even though Minnesota has high income tax as well, you got to factor that in with San Francisco, with San Diego. Even with that though, those offers, the Twins just are not going to offer Carlos Correa $330 million. I think we've known that. I've known that from the beginning. It sucks. I wish they would, but it doesn't feel like something they're going to do. They're going to try to get him at a lesser number. And in order to do that, the market kind of has to fall apart like it did last year. And that's why the hope is, I think, from Twins fans is like the Dodgers are out. Oh, maybe the Giants don't want to make that. Oh, the Padres, they wanted Trey and Judge, but they don't want Correa. Oh, the Cubs signed Swanson. And then all of a sudden, it's not just the Twins and Correa, because a lot of teams are interested in Carlos Correa, but it's close enough at the end where he ultimately chooses the Twins. And that's the needle they're trying to thread. Where does Xander Bogaerts, Dansby Swanson, and the rest of this free agent class fit in here with the Twins? We'll also loop in some great reporting from Dan Hayes and Aaron Gleeman straight from the winter meetings. That's all coming up for you after this word from Simply Safe. At Locked On Twins, we believe home should be where you and your family feel safest, especially over the holidays. This season, give yourself and your family the gift of peace and protection with the #1 rated home security system, Simply Safe. And right now, Simply Safe is offering Locked On Twins listeners 40% off a new security system. But don't put this off. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report for a third year in a row. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real, so you can get higher priority police response. Don't miss your chance to save big on my favorite security system. Get 40% off any new system at simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb today. That's simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Thank you so much for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Where do Xander Bogaerts and Dansby Swanson fit into all of this? A lot of steam today that Xander Bogaerts is going back to Boston, which, you figured that, right? You figured, like, really? The Red Sox are going to let him walk? They got pretty clean books. Chaim Bloom, is he going to let him walk? Now Judge is back in New York. It was possible to me. I still think it's possible he doesn't go back, but I think he's going back. And I hope that he would be a plan B for the Twins. I said throughout, I think it'll be Correa or Bogaerts, and maybe I'll stick to that. It'll be Correa or Bogaerts, and it won't be Swanson. And I always knew it wasn't going to be. We didn't even cover Trey Turner, if you noticed. we didn't even cover him because I just didn't. They're not going to spend that money on somebody other than Correa, and they're not going to spend that money, period. They're not going to spend. I don't think they'll spend $300 million, to be honest with you. And if they do, it's going to be on Correa. Dansby Swanson. The Twins have met with Dansby Swanson. I think what this is it's a contingency plan. And Dan and Aaron wrote about this in The Athletic. It's a potential insurance plan, right? If Correa signs with the Giants or Correa goes to San Diego or goes somewhere else, which is still highly possible and likely, you have a backup plan with Dansby Swanson who can play a solid shortstop. Honestly, Swanson doesn't excite me. I think Dansby Swanson's a fine ball player. I think he would make the Twins better. He was, I believe, a 6-win player in 2022, had his best year offensively. Defensively, he graded out wonderfully. I don't think he's gonna replicate that year. He just hasn't been that hitter throughout his career. Too much chase, too much swing and miss. Again, I think he's a good ball player. But when you're looking at him compared to Carlos Correa as a defender, I know Dansby has this great reputation defensively, and I think he would be a good defender in Minnesota. Correa's defensive rep is that of the best shortstop in baseball. And he didn't grade out that way in 2022. And maybe it's the back, maybe it's other factors, and he doesn't get back there. But he's been the best defender in baseball for a handful of years at shortstop. When you compare his bat to Xander Bogaerts, who's been consistently 128, 130, 135 OPS plus for the last 7 years offensively, every single season, hits for a high average, hits for power, doesn't really strike out, draws walks, gets on base, is a wonderful hitter. When you compare him to those two, he comes out third every single time. Every single time. He's going to get paid. He's a good ball player. He's a lot better than what the Twins have now, which is Kyle Farmer at short. And maybe Dansby Swanson for $150 million is what they end up doing. I doubt it. And the reason I doubt it as well is because I don't want that to happen. I don't want them to give Dansby Swanson $150 million. If they signed him, they'd be better. They would be better today if they signed Dansby Swanson. If you're going to spend that money, though, I would say, well, let's spend $200 on Carlos Rodon. Not always possible. Not always possible to do that. But they did meet with Dansby Swanson. And I think Bogaerts is slipping away as a backup plan. We have heard throughout, from Darren Wolfson that the backup plan is Xander Bogaerts, and that made sense to me. I think it made sense to a lot of people. If you don't get Correa, you go after Bogaerts, who probably plays short for a year, 2, maybe 3, makes room for Royce Lewis or Brooks Lee or Austin Martin, whoever it is at shortstop. That made sense to me. Swanson, for whatever reason, it's also hard for me to see him going from Atlanta to Minnesota unless they just blew it out of the water. He's going to have suitors. The Cubs, I think the Cubs are going to get one of these 3. I think we've heard it's most likely to be Swanson. Are you going to Chicago or Minnesota for the same money? Maybe Minnesota. I don't know. Maybe they blow him away in the meeting, but Chicago's got the big market. They can probably offer more. I don't see Swanson here. I don't see him here. And you can clip this if I'm wrong and the Twins end up signing him. But I don't see him here, and I hope I don't see him here because I want the Twins to sign Correa, and if not, I want them to sign Bogaerts for shortstop. I'm being picky. Perhaps I'm being picky with one of these 3. They're all great players, but Correa is the best, and Bogaerts has the best bat, and Swanson, coming off an offensive best year, you're paying really high for him right now. You're buying high, and paying Correa $300 million, certainly buying high. And paying Xander Bogaerts $200 or $180 is certainly buying high. You're really buying high on Dansby Swanson and putting a lot of faith into him keeping up what he did in 2022. And that's why I'm a little less gung-ho on Dansby Swanson. The Twins make an offer to Christian Vázquez. What does it mean? What do I think about Vazquez in the winter meetings? They're hot. Free agents are flying off the board. Christian Vázquez, could he be the next Twins signing? That's coming up after this word from betonline.net. It's your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, we've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. Again, betonline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, they've got it all at betonline.net. It's easy to use on your phone. It's easy to use on the desktop. Right now, they have free agency odds. Carlos Correa favored to sign with the Giants right now, but second, the Minnesota Twins. If you think Correa is going to sign with the Twins, go make a bet at betonline.net. They've got you covered. BetOnline is where the game starts. Twins reportedly make an offer to catcher Christian Vázquez. Vazquez, great reputation defensively. We'll look at his career, 8-year career, 7.5 with Boston. He's a career 261 hitter with an on-base percentage at 310, slugged 386, OPS at 695, OPS plus at 85. Nothing wrong with that for a catcher. Nothing wrong with that. As a premium defender or a very good defender at 32 years old from Puerto Rico, good clubhouse guy, good veteran leader, 119 games played in 2022 and with Boston and with Houston. It was his best offensive season in a full year since 2019. And if you look back since 2019, Christian Vázquez has an OPS plus at 95. That's only 5% worse than the whole league's average, which for a catcher is well above average. He's a 271 hitter in his last 1,600 plate appearances. Really, really poor with Houston. Really poor. 585 OPS. Power was gone. On base was gone. He's going to strike out, but he makes a lot of contact. He makes a ton of contact. 23% strikeout rate in the COVID season, but the last 2 years combined, 17%. Walk rate at 6%. Puts the ball in play. He's not a Sandy Leon, type of hitter, but he's not a Wilson Contreras type of hitter. He's somewhere in between, more toward that league average overall. If you look at the broad scope of the league, more toward that league average. He's slugged 416 since 2019 with 45 homers in 442 games. He's got playoff experience. He's a 2-time World Series champ. And reportedly, the Twins are offering a 3-year deal. So Christian Vázquez fits. I mean, he fits with Ryan Jeffers back there. It's just a veteran catching option. I've said time and time again, catcher, I'm not worried as much about catcher, whoever they sign. But if you're going to sign somebody, it would have been Wilson Contreras at the premium, at the top of the market. But I think at the next wave, it's like Omar Narvaez, who I really, really like for them, but there's something weird going on there. Like, we just haven't heard really much at all about Omar Narvaez. And then there's Christian Vázquez. I think it's Narvaez, Vázquez, maybe Tucker Barnhart's in there, but he's just not the same type of hitter as Vázquez is and as Narvaez has been in his career. I would welcome Christian Vázquez on this team. Batted ball data is not great, but the strikeout rate is nice. The expected batting average is there. Like I said, makes a lot of contact, doesn't really swing and miss, good pop time. Framing is above average, or at least was in 2022. Christian Vázquez would be a nice ad for this team on like a, $8 to $9 million a year salary for 3 or 4, whatever years. He would be a nice ad for them, I think. Ground ball rate is reasonable as well. Again, I like him. We'll see. I don't know if he's going to come. I would like him too, though. He'd be a good pairing with Ryan Jeffers. Where do things stand? Free agents are flying off the board. I mentioned Contreras. Contreras is a Cardinal. Wow. Taijuan Walker to the Phillies. Jameson Taillon to the Cubs. A lot more I'm missing. Jose Quintana is a Met. A lot of the same teams, it feels like, making these moves. But I'm missing some. The market, guys are flying off. And I wish I could say I expected something different from Derek Falvey and Thad Levine. But what we've come to know about this front office, and I've led with it throughout this offseason, they work slow. They work slow and they work in silence often. You will not hear many times from, and sometimes you will, like you'll get inklings of it before, but a lot of times things will just drop out of thin air. Sonny Gray. Some teams you hear that they're asking about Sonny Gray for 3 months. Twins just press released Sonny Gray, if I remember correctly. At least I saw the Twins tweet that they traded for Sonny Gray. That, like, the Braves do that and almost nobody else. The Twins work in silence and they work slowly, and this is what they do. And I think what's going on with Correa, my personal opinion of the situation on the shortstop market, cobbling together everything, it's an educated guess. My educated guess is this. The Twins are not there money-wise with Carlos Correa, and this is what happened with Josh Donaldson in some ways, I believe, too, where they weren't where he wanted them to be. They weren't where he wants them. But the Twins took the gamble that nobody else is going to beat them significantly to acquire said player. Donaldson and Correa are in much different situations. Donaldson was 34. He did have a limited market. He was coming from Atlanta. Austin Riley was taking his place. It was a different situation. Carlos Correa is 28 in the middle of his prime. He's an up-the-middle player and a platinum glove defender, just coming off a 140 OPS plus season and a near 6-win season. It's a completely different situation. But in some ways, the way the Twins are playing it, I think, is similar. I do. I believe that the Twins are not there with him in terms, whether that's money or years. I have a feeling it's money. I think they're probably offering a lesser average annual value over a longer time, but we know that they have made multiple offers and they've discussed multiple parameters with him. They're not there. They're not where he wants to be. If they were, he would have signed, I think. And what's happening is they're taking the gamble that he's not going to get it from somebody else or not get enough more from somebody else where he doesn't sign with the Twins. And they're still underdogs to get him. And a large reason for that is because they will not go to just the number that another team could, right? That's what makes them the underdogs in this. Maybe they see themselves as the favorite. I think they're encouraged. I think they have to be encouraged by the way that this market has gone with the Dodgers out. The Giants didn't secure him today. It's not like they ran to him. They could do it tomorrow in a minute, but it's not like they ran to him today with Judge's contract and said, hey, we'll just change the name. Let's white out Aaron Judge and put in Carlos Correa. Do you want to play for us? And he signed. I think the Twins have to be encouraged with the way it's going, but I also have to stick to my original thing, which is the longer this goes, the worse it is because it adds that urgency on other teams. The flip side of that is the longer this goes, the better it is for the Twins because Carlos is not getting the money he's looking for from those other teams. It's this weird dichotomy. You could look at it either way. Coming into the winter meetings, I was firmly in the longer this goes, if it goes past the winter meetings, that's bad news for the Twins because he's not accepting their offer. I still think that's true, that he's not accepting their offer. He hasn't accepted their offers. But I think the other side of that is he's not getting it from anybody else either right now because if he was, he would sign with them. And I do believe wholeheartedly, and I'm homegrown Minnesota boy who loves the Twins. I've loved the Twins my whole life. I believe he wants to be here. I want to be here, so I hope he wants to be here. But I believe he wants to be here if all things are equal. And Aaron and Dan reported that as well. The Twins believe if all things are equal, Correa will return. They've built that relationship with him. They believe that he'll come back if the number is in the same ballpark. And all it takes is one, though. All it takes is San Francisco coming up on Thursday and saying, screw this. We need to get somebody. Carlos, 10 for 330. Here's the dotted line. And Carlos goes, great. See ya. That was fun. Thanks for playing. Market's over. You just get blown out of the water. And that was the kind of the whole premise of the Gleeman Hayes article. They're swimming with the big fish, and all it takes is one big bite to get eaten. One is going to open their mouth and eat you, and it's over. They're walking a thin line here, but I think they're walking a line that they're tugging in some ways where they feel like they have some leverage. I don't know why, but I believe that they feel they have some leverage here with him. Maybe it is the I want to be here factor. Maybe it is they don't believe in his market as much as maybe he does or Boris does. For whatever reason, I think that they should feel encouraged, but I think that there's this weird almost holding pattern staring contest like there was with Donaldson for some time where he's waiting for somebody to step up. Somebody step up. If they don't step up, okay, I'll come back. That's one side of this, right? Or it's let's get the Twins offer up and then I want to get it from somebody else. And in that case, it becomes a problem when Bogarts are gone and Correa goes too. You miss if Swanson and Bogarts sign, Swanson goes to the Cubs on Thursday and Xander signs with the Red Sox next week. And Correa is the only guy left. And eventually the Giants step up after Christmas and they say, hey, we'll give you 330. And then he's off the board. We're talking about Kyle Farmer's Zips projections for 2023. We'll do that anyway on Locked On Twins. Thank you so much for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Aaron and Dan also reporting from team sources the team might be willing to shake up the squad, to shake up the roster. We're going to go over what that means on Thursday, what I think they're talking about there. Thank you so much. Have a great day. It was fun this week, and we'll continue on. The sweepstakes are not close to over. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. Go Twins.